The investigation into the July 13th attempted assassination of Donald Trump took a very strange turn and a troubling turn in the last 12 to 24 hours, as we now are getting more and more evidence that's popped up. That's both auditory, it's video, and it's claims and things in some of these testimonies that's been going on Capitol Hill. There are some significant alterations in what's being claimed and some physical evidence that is contradicting with one another. In some cases, what's being claimed under oath in Washington, D.C. is directly contradicted by physical evidence. There's things that are being claimed that cannot be true, and this needs to be examined in great detail. I can, from my perspective here, from piecing together a lot of the evidence, the things that are being claimed can show some major problems in the story that's being told, but I don't have authority to do additional information examination. I don't have the ability to go and take other information and other evidence that is desperately necessary. But people who do have this authority, especially at Congress, need to get this information, and they need to put other people under oath, because what they've been told so far, somebody's lying. Let me just point blank say this, because these things, it's one thing to have inaccurate information. It's one thing to believe something and say it. And it's another thing when it's clear that what you've said is directly contradicted by information that you yourself have. So we're going to need some answers. I'm going to show you some things. There's also some video evidence that's one of the things that's being told, or maybe even multiple, have been altered. That's important, because some of the evidence that's used to support some of these theories has been changed. And to this date, I have not seen anyone else have identified this really big problem. Now, I'm going to show you here in a few minutes 3 separate videos that are taken from generally the same location next to the building where Crooks fired from, that you've probably seen some of many times here. They're all from slightly different angles because they're different people shooting the video. But what you're going to hear, the key thing is, you're going to hear a certain woman screaming at a certain time in relation to when the 2 sets of shots are fired, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, actually. And where those screams come has been changed. And that is really disturbing, because that's making it look like someone is altering the evidence to fit a certain story. We're going to see how that works out. First of all, one of the most important things I want to point out, first of all, is what the Secret Service acting director Rowe emphatically said under oath in Congress. Now, what you're about to see is that he's trying to defend his snipers, because people have asked, understandably, if these guys are up on the roof, especially that Southern team that allegedly did have line of sight to the shooter, how is it that they didn't see him and they took the shot 16, I think, seconds after the first shots were fired? Why did it take that long? So Rowe wanted to answer that, and he's going to show a reenactment of what the shooter would have seen from his location. Then they have some actual photographs, and he's going to show and say, hey, this is so hard. You could only see it when the shooter was at the crest of that building. Watch this.
Reenactment by one of my agents. Laying flat. There was a 5-inch rise on the middle of that roof. The assailant would have had to present his bore over that to get his shot off. The view underneath reflects the perspective that he would have had. Again, I call your attention back to the first exhibit, if they'd have looked left. Give me C. This is what our counter-sniper team saw. Shooter, no elbows. You barely make out the crown of his head. Below it, the assailant up prone. And let me just tell you, our counter-sniper, this individual, I know him. I consider him a friend. He has covered me operationally in conflict zones. And when I did my time on the president's detail, he exemplifies the courage, the skill, and the ability to respond under great stress in such short time to neutralize the threat and prevent further loss of life.
Okay, so remember those statements there. He is saying, Director Rowe is telling you that his sniper guy on the southern group here that had that line of sight that he showed on that last picture could barely see the crown of his head, and only when he came up above the ridge line, above the crest of that building, only then did was he able to present and take that shot. That's important because some video I'm going to show you in a minute shows that is not where he was when the alleged fatal shot was taken, because there's a lot of contradiction even on that. Now, I'm going to show you 3 different videos that show where Crooks was in relation to where he was allegedly when the kill shot came in from wherever it came in. That shows it was very different than what Director Rowe just claimed there. But there's something more important to this video. There's going to be 3 separate videos here. One that's on the website of Chris Martenson, which we've shown several times. Another one that's on the Washington Post, which we'll talk about also in more detail. And then another one that's off of Fox News. And they're from 3 separate people. Now, here's what you're going to see. Of course, there's all kinds of chaos. Of course, people screaming. We've all heard that before. I want you to zero in on one thing. And I might play some of these a couple of times because the sequence of this is really, really important. And if you're watching this after it's been live broadcast, you may want to go yourself back and just go back and listen to it, which I had to do like many times. But let me tell you what you're going to hear. There's one phrase I want you to key in on. Brock, where'd it go? Brock, get over here. Brock, get over here. You're going to hear that. One of the videos, you're going to hear it twice. The other 2 times, you're going to hear it clearly one time. Here's the problem. In one video, you're going to hear it after the first 3 shots have been fired, but before the second 5 shots were fired. And then in the other 2, you're going to hear that exact phrase and exact intonation about a second and a half after the 9th shot has been fired. So they can't coexist between the 2. And when you hear the whole thing all together, all 3 of them, you can clearly hear that Brock, get over here. And then you hear also just before the 10th and allegedly fatal shot is fired, you hear Brock one more time screaming out, and then you hear the shot. And in some of the videos, you'll hear the crowd around go, ooh, because they saw the kill shot. They saw the tuft of hair flow up. So they were able to see him when he was actually killed. You'll see that too. So let's first of all get into the one from Chris Martenson. Watch this. Okay, so let me replay that one. So you're going to hear Brock, get over here. Then you're going to hear 1, 2, 3, a pause, and then you're going to hear Brock, get over here. Then the 5 shots. Play that again. On the last one. You say, Brock, get over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. One last time so you can hear that. So play. On the last one. Brock, get over here. 1, 2, 3. Brock, get over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You see that, right? Now then let's go to the Washington Post. This is on the Washington Post. Now, this one has a bit of a delay in there because this one, what they're trying to do, they're going to freeze it at one point, 2 points actually, and zoom in on what they claim is the video image of Crooks alive at 2 separate points. So watch this. Gary, if you can go ahead and hold it right there. The Washington Post one has a really good thing on there where you see these audible gunshot wounds, and then he goes 1, 2, 3, and then you see 4, 5, 6, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, when we play this again, I want you to know after you hear that second set of 5 shots, you're going to hear a pause of about a beat and a half, and then you're going to hear Brock, get over here. The same one that you heard before the 5 shots in the previous video. Watch it again. It was. Keep watching. So now then they're showing, all right, that's after the 9th shot has been fired and they're showing he's up. Now they're going to show one more time where he's, now you see, Gary, pause it right there if you could. Okay, you see that shot of him right there. You've probably seen this before. So this is, again, well after the 9th shot has been fired. Bring that photograph up, Gary, if you could. where you see it. This is kind of a close-up of one. You've seen it in other videos and other photographs. That's him right now. So what the Washington Post is telling you, that is many seconds after the 9th shot has been fired, and he is now well back from the crest of the building. He is well back from it. So he's got his head up. He's looking here, but he is back from it. Now, you just saw Rowe tell you that only when he's on the crest and up on his elbows did his shooter have a shot. So how is it that he can be back now? And there's other videos where you can see this is where he was allegedly killed from. So that means that that picture you've seen that showed him some 4 or 5 feet behind the crest of the building is where he is when this shot is taken. So how is it that he can be behind the crest, and then the sniper is allegedly able to take him out when he said before only when he was on the crest could he see him? That's going to come into play. And again, continue on with the video. So you heard that 10th shot. That's the one where people went, oh. So that's when they claimed that he was killed on the 10th shot. So after he's back, where you can still see that corner highlighted in the upper left-hand corner here. So that's allegedly from where he was killed. So obviously those photographs that you've seen, and they're all over the internet, you can see where his body was laying was back behind the crest. So that's really, really important here, and we're going to talk about more in a second. Now, here's a Fox News one that has, from a different perspective, different camera, similar perspective. And again, you're going to hear 1, 2, 3, and then some screaming, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then, listen carefully, then you're going to hear, Brock, get over here. Roll that tape. So you can see that's enough Gary on that one. So you can see that one, the Fox News one, lines up fairly closely with the Washington Post one, in that you clearly hear Brock, get over here, clearly about a count and a half after the second batch of 5 is played. And now I want to go back, Gary, to the Chris Martenson one again, because I want you to listen very, very carefully how you hear the 1, 2, 3, then Brock, get over here, then the 5th one. Go ahead.
On the last one.
So you see there, this one you can hear this is closer to that woman, whoever's making it. So the first one you hear very clearly, even before the first 3 shots, but then you hear the second one emphatically before the 5th. Brock, get over here, bam, 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 and not afterwards. So none of the other 2 videos, neither one of the other 2 videos, do you hear anything between the first 3 and the second 5. You hear it all a count and a half after the 5th one, and that's not here. So I don't in any way suggest that Chris Martenson doctored the video. In fact, he even says in his video he can't validate that this hasn't been changed, and who knows, from the source that he got it from. So in no way do I accuse him of anything. But what I am saying is that somebody did. Somebody is changing the time-wise, the stamp of when things were done with the video image that showed. And of course, the question is, why? What is it you're trying to hide there? What is it you're trying to mask? Because somebody is altering evidence to have something come through or something appear a certain way. And it's distinct from what other people who also had video said on the same day. Now then, I want to look at this other video. So now that you saw how emphatic Director Rowe was about telling you that only when he was up there on this, was the crown of his head, only could they see him at the ridge. We've already shown you how that's not where the alleged kill shot came from, but it came from when he was down the ridge. But here's a problem even before that. So somewhere around 2.5 to 3 minutes, the timestamp is not exactly clear. New information, new video came out just last night that shows that, ironically, from one of the camera from one of the guys who was shot in some of the other rounds that came out. His video got from the backside of Trump. He's doing him, and you see Crooks literally running across the top of the roof. You can see him plain as day from a position below Trump's head, as opposed to the guy who's about 10 feet above his head, supposed to be looking in this direction. He didn't see him. And it's so clear. Watch this tape. So you see him there, he's running. I mean, he's moving fast. Then he's going to pop his head up like almost up to his middle of his chest. So he's way up there. That's not just, I mean, you can almost see what appears to be his elbows. So he is way up above that. Now, you tell me under what circumstance, when that sniper who's on the Southern team, who has line of sight to this, and even the other sniper team, which was oriented in this direction, would have seen him here. They were shielded by that tree from getting a kill shot when Crooks got up to the crest of the building. But anyone could have seen him running down through there. So here is another major problem with what we've been told. You've now, especially 2-something minutes before the shots were fired, you had the Southern team reoriented from the south to the north. You already had the North team looking in that direction. You've seen many of the videos where you can see the North sniper team is sharply oriented in that direction. You see him looking up right before. So it's like he saw something. So how is it that neither one of those guys saw anything? Further, the local sniper teams who were told were in 2 of the separate windows on the building behind it, overlooking the window. Now, you can say, well, they were inside and they were looking somewhere else. I don't know where else you would have been looking, because that's the most direct line of sight to what's going on there. But especially because, and Gary, go ahead and show the building, the video from the front of the building. Now, what I'm showing you here is just a few seconds before. We've shown this a little bit in some of our previous episodes, but the whole video, when it's played, is 2 minutes and 4 seconds before the shot fired. And you see all kinds of policemen running around. You see people screaming. The guy who's making the video, go ahead and roll it. So, see people are physically running. Something's going on. You see cops running all over the place. So obviously everybody's aware of something, at least 2 minutes and 4 seconds that this video was on, but obviously they knew something before that, which is why the kid turned his video on in the first place. So what we have here is around the same time as that you see that person running across the top of the building. That's not here. You can cut that off. The point I wanted to make was that all kinds of activity that the policemen were watching and actively looking at somebody up on the roof. How is it that the guys on the top of the sniper team didn't see anything? How is it even more so that with all of this shouting and all the local police talking, did the local policemen allegedly in the 2 windows overlooking the building never look out of the building? See, this is just not lining up any way you want to measure it, because you have the Secret Service director claiming that I couldn't see my sniper on the south side, couldn't see him until he crested. But now that you see he allegedly shot him when he was below the crest, well below the crest, after he'd already fired all of his shots. So that doesn't line up. Then how did he not see him when the guy's physically running across the roof, standing up and presenting a full silhouette above, almost up to his elbows in that video that we saw there? And yet no one saw him. No one took any action. But people on the ground were running around at about the same time with that. Now, there's another piece of evidence that's coming out today, and this is also from the Washington Post story. They're claiming that actually it was a local counter sniper guy who actually shot at the person, at Crooks. And Gary, if you can pull the call out there. According to the Washington Post, Crooks paused shooting at former President Donald Trump after a local law enforcement officer assigned to a SWAT team returned fire, and Crooks did not shoot again before he was killed by a Secret Service counter sniper. That's also critical. According to the 2 officials familiar with the investigation into the assassination, the shot from the local officer caused the would-be assassin to temporarily recoil from his perch on a rooftop. And then the other part says that the critical period ended when the Secret Service counter sniper shot and killed him. And we heard that 10th shot, and we heard the crowd ooh, because they were able to see what was going on. They could see that what's in that inset box right there. And we've heard from some other video, people were captured on video saying, yeah, I saw the tuft of his hair popped up. You could see when he got hit. Okay, so that's important. Now, let me show you the diagram that the Washington Post produced. It says this is where the shot took place. So you see the counter sniper teams on the two barns there, the north and the south one, left and right as you're looking at it. You see the Crooks position located on the building to the left there. You see that highlighted in yellow. And then you see the approximate location of the officer on the ground, who was relatively close. Now, what they're claiming is he didn't get the kill shot in. He just fired a single round, which caused Crooks to back down. So allegedly, that means he was at the crest and now he's back down, and you could see him moving in that other part of the Washington Post video. But now here's the problem, and I'm not going to show this on our screen. But if you'll look in the comment section down there, there's a link to Larry Johnson's one of his articles that he has written on his blog, and he has on this. If you'll scroll down a little bit, you'll see a photograph of the head of Crooks after he was killed. After the policeman got up there and they took some photographs, and what you'll see is at least what appears to be an entry wound on, I think it's the right side, maybe it's the left side. The left side, I'm sorry, the left side of his mouth. And then you see what appears to be the edges of an exit wound behind his right ear. So it appears that someone had a shot that went in here and then back out here. Now, this is what is incredibly important to understand. A bullet is not a bullet. A sniper rifle of the type that we've seen on those two counter sniper teams on top of the red barns are a bullet that's very much larger than a regular hunting rifle, much larger than the ones on a 5.56, the ones that I've showed you that I used, the one that allegedly Crooks had. These are something like what some people call them a 300 Win Mag, and it's a much larger bullet. And you can Google this. I'm not going to show this either, but you can Google it and you can see that there are plenty of places online to where people have done demonstrations with a 300 Win Mag when it hits a human head, and they have a dummy head marked up there that uses a skull, and it's really replicates what an actual human head would look like. That bullet, by design, because it's got a heavier bullet so that you can engage from like 500, 600 meters, not just from 147 accurately, and actually even longer than that to really good teams. That would cause the human head to literally detonate and explode to where there's nothing left. It shatters the entire thing every single time. If that caliber of a bullet hit where those wounds show, there would be no head left. It's a little gory, I'm sorry, but that's important to understand, because we're told that it was the counter sniper team, the Secret Service team, that hit Crooks. But that body is of a much smaller caliber bullet. So probably a 5.56 of the same type that that the AR-15 would be. Maybe a local sniper team would have used that. I've seen one other video that unfortunately I can't find at the moment, where one of the witnesses on the ground, who was in the back part of the audience during this rally, said that he saw and then later heard the local counter sniper team in a building by one of the ponds. You can look on any of the diagrams and you can see that's the one that took the shot that took him out. And at least that lines up, because when you do a line of sight from where he says that bullet came to where Crooks is, that matches what would have been a shot in here and back out here. And if it is a local team and that person had no idea what kind of weapon he uses, and I don't have any idea either. What I can tell you with a great deal of confidence, though, if that counter sniper with the 300 Win Mag or equivalent round hit Crooks as we're being told, there would be no head left. It's impossible. Ballistics size, it's impossible to be any other way. There is no way that wound was caused by that weapon. It was caused by something else. So those are some of the critical questions that need to be answered, because, folks, we are not being told the truth, and it is clear somebody is trying to cover something up. It is blatantly obvious. I don't know yet what's going on. I don't know who's doing what. I don't know who may be behind anything. I just don't have enough information to even make a guess. But what I can tell you with a lot of confidence is what you are being told is not true. And we need people to start asking some of the hard questions like we're talking about here. How is it that your team can't see him allegedly only when he's on the crest, but yet you allegedly killed him off the crest? How is it that you didn't see the gunman running across the building? How is it that we're told that the gunman came in from the backside when now we see video evidence that he came in from the left side, from the vantage point of the Trump's platform? How is it that some of the video evidence has been altered with the audio so that they no longer line up? So all of these questions need to be answered here. Who literally who are you going to tell us confidently took the fatal shot? That's all these things we need to understand, because what we are being told, folks, it ain't right. It's not lining up, and we need to find some answers here. Thanks for watching today. Listen, we're going to stay on top of this like we always do, but you need to know the truth, because something bigger and darker is going on here, and I want answers, and I know you do too. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next episode of Daniel Davis Deep Dive.